Oh, you have to go back to the first introduction question.
Okay, we are live. Fantastic. So I welcome everybody to our live talk. And now it started to become a monthly appointment. It's becoming recurrent. I'm also checking if we are going live on LinkedIn. Everything is working. Let me see. Interesting. I just want us to be connected on LinkedIn as well. It might be working. Okay, we have a little bit of technical issue. That never happened before, of course.
And meanwhile, just patiently waiting for people to come in.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm keep getting the same message. It looks like this event was canceled on LinkedIn.
Oh, really? That is not so wonderful.
Nope.
But I think we had quite some people signing up on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, which is very weird because I can still see it from my phone. Actually, it looks like it's there.
You know, the funny thing on those live events is that in the first minutes, nothing is working. Everyone is talking weird things, and people sitting there saying, "Hey, what's going on?" But this gives people the time also to join, come in, settle in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it seems it says that the event will start soon, but I don't think we are able to do that right now.
All right. Are we live on the other channels?
We are already live on the other channel. I never had that before. So it's telling me that I should remove this destination and add it again. Let me try. Let's see. Maybe it works. Now, let's see if somebody can see us from LinkedIn. Now it says we are live.
All right. Then welcome LinkedIn as well.
Yes, there's a funny face of mine there.
Let's see
Like
if
this.
somebody can see us from.
Yeah, we are live. Great, we manage. So that's what all this all about, being able to navigate through uncertainty and adapt. So we welcome everybody. First of all, we welcome Mandy. Welcome, Mandy, Dr. Mandy Zimmerman, our executive leadership and diversity coach from Leah Green People. Thank you for being with us today. We are getting closer to summer, and for many of us, it's a period of changes, transformation. And we really wanted to address this topic today, as it's approaching also the time for some of people living in a foreign country or expat, as we are, to change the scenario. Many people are leaving the city to come back home, visiting their parents, or simply to go on holiday. Some of ours are still obliged to stay to work, or they choose to stay in town. Some of us, they remain without the other family member that will potentially join them later. So there's a lot of, shifts. And at the same time, I was also talking with a couple of colleagues today. People is getting close to this moment of living or of transitioning, and everybody is more stressed with the agenda that are overwhelmed with the 2 million client appointment, last minute meeting. So it's a very challenging and crucial period of the year. Before here starts hitting 45, 54 degrees. So I really wanted to have Mandy with me today to address this relevant and important topic. Thank you, Mandy, for being with us.
Thank you, Elena, for inviting me, and thank you everyone for coming as well. I'm actually very excited about this topic, and I can totally relate. And I also feel the topic when you're talking about it, just thinking about some of my areas or some of my situations in my personal life as well. So yeah, thank you for having me here today.
And definitely, we hope that many other people that are connected with us live now, or potentially will listen to the record later on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, might really get a benefit from this conversation and find also themselves able to be resonating with what we are addressing today. So we wanted to talk about isolation. It's a big word. For some people might have a positive connotation. For some people might have a negative connotation. So there's no the connotation of isolation. And that's also the beauty, different perspective. And today with you, we want to explore some of them. The first thing I had in mind is, what should I ask to address this topic with me? And so this led us to our first question. It is, what is your relationship, Mandy, with isolation? So we can also explain our friends why I choose you to talk about this topic.
Sure. Thank you. I actually have a very, very deep relationship with isolation throughout my whole life. And I would like to tell maybe two short stories that show why I'm here invited today, and what I have to talk about when it comes to isolation. I basically have two lives. I was a corporate engineer before I was a leadership coach. And in between those two lives, I on purpose created isolation for myself. So rather than many people that are here in Dubai today and being isolated from family or from colleagues because of the summer, I chose on purpose to be isolated for a while. And I was moving myself for 9 months into the desert of Chile. And I don't know if you know the desert of Chile. It's a very remote place in the middle of nowhere. It's just a small village where some indigenous people and some other isolation looking people are living in. And I used that time for myself to really redefine myself, finding the purpose on what am I going to do and what do I want to do. And obviously, as you see, it worked out. So this isolation was a good period for me. And even though I said it was on purpose and I really wanted this time for myself, I think also people who are in this situation right now who don't really feel very, very nice with it can learn something from the insight that I'm bringing from this one. The other story, which is more related to Dubai and to the summer and to the isolation here, is when I was moving 8 months ago to Dubai from Chile, not being isolated anymore because I didn't spend my whole life there, to Dubai without knowing anyone. I had no single connection here. I didn't have friends. I didn't have family, no colleagues. no network, really absolutely no one. And the first month here in the city, even though the city is crowded and buzzing, I did not really feel that I have a connection. There was no one really close to me. And then there I felt quite isolated in the terms of loneliness. So that was not so a nice feeling. And also in this time, I did quite some things that brought me here today. I'm very happy, where I would like to share some experiences and some insights on what other people that are here today and interested what they can do.
And then, you know, coming from my perspective, because this is also relevant to me, being a parent, there's also maybe this moment of the year where you know, maybe your partner with the kids is moving back to, you know, on holiday or to visit grandparents or back home, and you remain isolated here without your partner, without your kids. Because you still have to work and maybe you don't have that many days of holiday. So what does it mean to be a solo parent that is completely splitted by the rest of the family because of their duty and their responsibility? Or maybe another layer, which could also be you know, deciding to stay here, not because you are obliged to work and you don't have holiday, because you literally decided to have fun and join Dubai, being a parent, without having to drive the kids to school, drop off, pick up, afternoon school activity, play dates and stuff, and explore Dubai under a completely different lens. Pretending maybe you are back, you know, a teenager with no kids, living the city under a completely different lens. So if you would love to say, what is your relationship with isolation now that we have named few of them that you have experienced and that I have experienced in my life? How would you define it?
Do you mean what kind of isolation they're out there, or?
No, what type of relationship? You know, when you think of the word isolation, you still have a good feelings, bad feelings.
Yeah. Well, I totally hear you when you were talking about leaving the kids in Italy and doing what you want here in Dubai and choosing this. I actually chose to be in Dubai to explore my first summer here, and I want to see if it's really that bad as everyone says. I still don't believe it. So when I personally think about isolation, I have a very peaceful feeling, even though part of the situations that I've been going through when isolated were not always very happy. Of course, I have like very many feelings and emotions been going through when isolated. But in total, I really would say it's rather peaceful than painful. And that would be two main types that I would identify when it comes to isolation. And I think it is somehow mastering the art of, when feeling pain, turning it into peace. Like, what can I get out of it? And really looking inside yourself. How can you turn yourself into a better, or how can you bring yourself into a better place? Even when isolated, or maybe even though isolated, or because of being isolated.
I really love your perspective of having a relationship that is in transition, you know, that it's allowing this relationship to be transformed. And actually, this should be any approach to any relationships, actually. You know, that's why we are not alone and we are in two, because things can develop, they can transform, they can change perspective. So I think you already tap in the next questions that I had for you, which is how many type of isolation we can find. You already probably named a couple, you know, it could be the peaceful or the painful one. Do you want to tell us more about it?
Yeah, so I would divided in those two categories, right? So some people might experience isolation rather painful and having negative feelings around it, and some people might find it very peaceful. As I said, me for myself, I usually feel a little bit more positive about being isolated. Also, probably depends a little bit on if you are an introvert like myself, if you're a little bit more extrovert, and you want to have more people. But even extroverts sometimes want to be alone and want to feel themselves and spending time with themselves. So those are the main categories. When I think of types of isolation, some people might self-isolate themselves for reasons that they have some problems going through some really difficulties. In that case, they might even want to maybe reach out for professional help if that is really, really deep. If it's just a little bit of melancholy, probably those tips that we're going to bring today might help them as well in order to not self-isolate so much, or at least feeling not painful in self-isolation. Some people voluntarily self-isolate because they want to find some peace. They want to work on themselves, like I did in the desert. They want to feel something new. They want to find a purpose. So self-isolation can also be a good thing when everything else becomes too much, and just consciously choosing to be in a different place. Sometimes we are forced to isolation. And if you remember in the COVID times, not very long ago, everyone was somehow forced to be isolated. I was living alone at this time, and there I had to say isolation didn't feel so nice because I had to be isolated. I didn't choose it. I couldn't go out, so that can be a very difficult time. But even there, other people were thriving in this time, and we might learn a lot from them as well. Then, in case of Dubai, what we're talking today is it's like a seasonal isolation. Everyone's going home, colleagues, family, and Dubai will be pretty quiet. I'm looking to forward to this very much. Some people don't, so this is another type of isolation. Then I experienced another type that I said already when I was moving to another country. Some people might move not the country, but even the workplace, and you can feel isolated in the new community and don't really know how to connect and how to get along with this new situation. And some people, unfortunately, and I hope we can help those as well today, they might isolate themselves due to a lot of stress. So instead of relaxing what might be good for them, they tend to overwork and loading even more and more and more, which pushes them into isolation, which can be then again a very painful experience.
So if I'm hearing what you're trying to say is that, those people that they overwork, that get so much addicted to tasks that they don't even realize they are isolating themselves from the external world and interaction. And definitely thank you for splitting them in so well described categories. And again, I want to address those people that eventually they are obliged to isolate themselves because they're already going in some chronic or critical reaction, such as having panic attack or agoraphobia, that bring them to such an anxiety when approaching other people that literally doesn't allow them to go out. So of course, as coaches, is not our duty and in our capacity to support those people. But we just want to address again and say it's a normal condition that many people might have suffered in the past, and that requires for you to ask and seek for a specific support, specific help, and address it. So please make sure you reach out to somebody and you seek for the right support in this scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that now is the most juicy part. Now that we have named, we have said what it is, a different perspective. What can we do? What are the strategies that we can implement, we can put in place in order to be able to manage the isolation? And I would like to say both of them. How can I get the most out a peaceful isolation, and now can overcome in the best possible way a painful isolation.
There's absolutely a lot that we can do, and everyone should choose for themselves what is most helpful for them, what suits them most. And as you said, first of all, I think we have to look for strategies that can turn the pain into finding the peace. Like if you suffer from isolation, we will give you some strategy on how to get out of the suffering and finally, hopefully, find peace to then move on. And if you have already a good relationship with it and say, I'm feeling actually quite good, how can I get the most out of it, as you just said? And I would probably put it into 4 categories here. I would say to turn from the painful into the peaceful experience, probably you would like to look for strategies that find you more connections, purposeful connections, and that put your moral a little bit higher, like working on yourself, on your emotions, and getting you in a good place. When you are there already, when you are in a good place, you might want to find things that let you be more creative, boost your creativity and your productivity, and doing things that you never are able to do because there's so much happening around you. So I think those are categories of strategies that we're looking for. And when it comes to connections, and we were talking about collaboration in the workplace, especially, right? Because we are still, not everyone is sitting in a desert and enjoying themselves for 9 months. Everyone has somehow to work and get along in life in a busy city, and not so busy right now. So if you need connections, look for purposeful connections and reach out to people who also stay in Dubai. So maybe it's a good time to create some groups and some communities around a specific topic. Maybe there's a community forming right now about, hey, we are all alone in summer, so let's have some fun and let's create a community and help each other, or do something that you can still do inside most of the times, probably not outside anymore so much. And look how you can help each other. So if you feel that you need a little bit support, probably there's someone else also that needs support. Or if you feel good with it, be aware that there's other people needing support. So create communities and find out how can you help each other, so that you belong to something again. So when everyone around you is outside, your family, your colleagues are outside, and you probably feel lonely, create a new sense of belonging, a new community, and also have a little bit in mind, where do you want to belong to in the first place? So what kind of groups you want to look for yourself. There are salsa groups, there are art groups, there are maybe book clubs, and they're still active, even though they might be a little bit less active right now, but maybe make them more active again by joining them. It's a good time, I think. Also build probably stronger relationships at work. So reach out to your colleagues, go to the office and don't remote work. If you feel alone already, don't make it worse by staying remote work. This is very important, especially for introverts. I love to work at home. I love to work alone. And when I feel a little bit moody, I do it even more, even though I might need to go out there and find a community and find some people. And that especially happened to me when I was moving to Dubai. So I was feeling alone, and I stayed in my beautiful apartment. As you see, it has a wonderful view. But I felt even more lonely. So
and I
I
love when
started to
you
sorry.
try to go back to the sense of belonging, because belonging might be a generic words. I belong to something. Yes, I belong to my community. I belong to the employees of my organization. I belong to my family. But I also want to trigger, a different approach we might look at. Despite the things are already given, my community, my work, my family, if I could decide today that I want to belong to something that I don't feel I'm belonging yet, or that I always have liked to, but I never did it, it might be an opportunity to do so. Like I want to belong to, as you said, to a group of salsa dancers, or I want to belong to a group of solo parents, and maybe you never thought about it, but isolation can also be for you a trigger to go and try something different,
Right.
uh,
Absolutely. Now is the best time for it.
absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Then we
So
have the
when
morale you were mentioning.
Yes, I was mentioning morale. So what I mean with this is really cheering yourself up. However, before you do this, and to not to avoid your feelings and say, "Oh, just going to be fine now." When you're not, then you're not, and that's okay. So first of all, really allow yourself to be in that emotion. Don't run away from it. Feel it, feel the pain, do whatever you have to do, and then move on, because many times we are afraid of our emotions, if that is an isolation or any other difficult situation, and we just try to do something else. So this is how overworking that I mentioned before is coming, right? So I just, in order to not feel the pain of isolation, I just work more. Feel it and talk about it. So when you have your community, maybe there's the chance to talk with someone, maybe with a coworker as well. Maybe just take the phone and call your best friend abroad, or your family, whoever, and talk about it. Just, or be the one who listens to someone who has that feeling, before you move on, and be compassionate with yourself and say it is okay to feel like this. So that's the first part. And then take the time to know yourself. So now you started already, you felt some emotions. You might feel pleasant emotions, you might feel painful emotions. So that's the first part, in knowing yourself. There's so many books out there, there's so many clubs out there, communities out there where you can talk, where you can learn about yourself. You can practice mindfulness. It's a wonderful time to go out there, where you might not want to be in nature anymore right now. I do actually. Most of the people want to be inside. That's fine, but find some places where you can create, or practice some mindfulness and learn this if you are not doing this already. And take care of yourself, love yourself, do something that you enjoy that you didn't have done for a long time. Go and make your hair pretty. Go shopping and buy yourself a really new dress, a beautiful dress that you wanted for such a long time. Maybe it's time already, also to change your nutrition a little bit. I know sometimes when we don't feel so well, we eat and eat. I know this very well. So maybe learn a little bit more about how to eat healthier, how to create some healthy habits. So all this,
Or
do
maybe
things that
just
make you,
simply having the time, giving yourself the time to enjoy what is that you are eating. Because sometimes
yeah,
we eat the
mindfulness.
most yummy food. It's a good quality, it's sustainable, it's green. We made our shopping list very carefully, and then maybe we'll eat it standing, while we're talking, while we're watching a series, while we are reading the news, and we are not really mindful. So, and I remember we were talking about this together. There are people for which they love to go to that extensive, mm, meditation and silent and stillness, and this for them is something that pick, pick up their morale, and they keep them alive and focused. There are people who energize through mindfulness, but also through meditation in movement, right?
Hmm.
For example, I am a Qigong practitioner and a Pilates instructor, and I'm a dancer. So for me, um, yes, I can meditate in stillness, but the really strongest way for me to really reconnect with my body, my senses, my feeling, my personalities, my value, my purpose, is to go back in connecting with my body, with my breath, with my muscles, with my shape, with my lines, and so far, so on. So there's no the specific way, and being in that deep connection with what makes you alive and unique is what really will allow you to understand what is that thing that really can allow me to ground myself despite the feeling or unpleasant feeling of being isolated or overwhelmed. and you name it, because there might be many more. What is that in my core that made me aligned to what I am and I want to be? And this also, we are already tapping in creativity, because maybe you don't know, you know, or maybe you never deeply connected with your real natural sparks, divine sparks that you are, you know. So creativity and open-mindedness is also key in this process, I would say.
Absolutely. And here's a good tip for all the engineers that are using their left brains all the time. Try something completely new that you've never done before, and try to find your creative side. You might be surprised what's coming out from there. That's the first tip. And for everyone else who feels already, okay, I want to be creative, I want to do something, but I don't know really where to start. I think a good idea is to even schedule when you are having a lot of time, because sometimes we get lost in this so much time. Schedule your creativity. Schedule like, okay, today I'm going to do this, this, and this. While I'm having this free time or lower time of a few weeks, I'm going to do this, this, then, and then. And then do things that you've never been trying before, but you would like to know it. Do things that you've always wanted to do, but you never started. Maybe go painting, music, write, cook something very, very special, like try maybe to learn a new cuisine, like how to cook French cuisine, for example. Or maybe start that business that you always wanted to start. You know, all the things that you never done before, that you always said, oh, I'm going to do them when I have time. Well, now is the time. You do have the time now, so find a way to invest in that, invest in yourself, invest in your growth, trying something new. Maybe photography. When I was living in the desert, I was buying myself a camera and started to take pictures of just anything. Not that I'm a wonderful photographer, but it was it was
Not
quite
just
some
listening
fun.
to you. That's the most important thing. They were speaking to you, you know, they had a sense to you. And also on another note, you know, I loved when you said uh, schedule the time for creativity, you know, because it's still tap into the engineer mind, but for a good for a good scope. And on another note, also go into the awareness of what are those areas you're always complaining about, or those area where you feel unsatisfied, those area where you feel stuck. This is already, even if you don't want to add something extra new to try, start with those. Start addressing those area that you feel stuck, that you feel you are a little bit, you know, in a hamster wheel, or feeling the situation rather than being on the steer wheel and having the control. When you feel you are a little bit victimized or disempowered by certain circumstances, this is also the chance where you can bring your energy, or, you know, invest your energy into, let's try to do things differently. Let's try to create a different approach for me. Because of course, if you reach already that level when you feel disempowered, victimized, and you feel stuck, it means that something needs to change. So you have two options. Either you try to create new processes, new approaches, explore new perspective to old habits that are quite sterile, or if you don't have any of those, really be creative. Have this leap of faith, try something new, be courageous, start your new business, go for painting classes, go crazy thing. um, both both will require creativity, and I would say also a little bit of bravery, or maybe more bravery than creativity, but you can do it, right?
Absolutely.
The
But
other
now
point,
is really the
uh,
time.
yeah, so sorry, go ahead.
No, I said now is really the time to start all this. What you just mentioned.
Absolutely. And with productivity, we already touched upon that. What do we mean by that as a strategy?
So again, I want to encourage you to schedule more. Like when we are so busy, we try to keep our schedules and we get frustrated with the schedules. We might need more scheduling. We might be all over the place. But now, as we have more time, we might even want to be more productive in the way of getting things done that we usually don't get done. Maybe we can organize something like our closet, the garage, something that we always said, oh, I'm going to do this one day, but I don't know when. And actually, it bothers me a lot. So get those things done. Not overwork. So instead of being really too going into the direction of burnout and overworking yourself, do some other things that are productive, that you never get done in your household, that can be also like quite meditation, like sorting out my things and organizing. I actually like that, and sometimes I do this even though I should work. But now is the time for doing this as well.
And this is resonating. I think that this is the one resonating with me the most, because one of the reason why my kids insisted they wanted to go in Italy by themselves. They are already big, so they can do that. And I have taken those 23, 4 days with me and my husband alone in Dubai, which never happened before. And it's, a couple of months that I'm saying, yes, I will use this time to do all the medical reimbursement form, all the tidy up of the wardrobe, everything that you mentioned, and I keep postponing, empty my inbox from the junk email, restructuring my archive, those things that really, as you said, needs to be done, and somehow you follow a process and you just keep doing the process without having to overthinking. I remember when my grandma taught me how to knit, the knitting thing. You keep seeing your jumper taking shape, but you keep repeating the same movement over and over, and it's so relaxing from the mind. And it's not time that is wasted, because actually once a year we can allow ourselves to do those things that seems not important, but actually they make a lot of difference into our mind.
You feel so much better. And I remember when you and I have been talking about you creating your space for yourself. So that's a good time as well. When everyone is gone, creating that feeling well space in your home, and by organizing and just doing those little things that you never do.
Absolutely. We want to give it this, being Lia, a company that, yes, support leaders, but they also support parents and organization. If we go to a bigger perspective of the company, what do you think that a company, either being the general manager, the headquarter, or the HR manager, can do for their employees to address isolation?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, start with the leaders, because the leaders have impact on the whole workplace and in their teams and in everyone else in the company, right? Those help, if you are an organization, help the leaders to feel well, like help leadership well-being as a company and address this topic. Don't talk it small. Don't say, okay, now you have time, now you can even work more. No, make sure that your leaders are feeling well in the first place, so then they can make sure that everyone else is feeling well as well. And when it comes to well-being in the workplace, I think, first of all, since we have been talking about isolation, try to create that community for your people that we have been talking about. Help them to come to the office when they have remote working places. Create some events, and if it's just a simple lunch or some fun activities, that everyone who's staying in Dubai has some fun and can take pictures and can show the other people at home, like, hey, I'm actually having a lot of fun here. And install maybe in this time some corporate well-being programs. There's programs about positive intelligence, a lot around mindfulness. Maybe you want to help as we have been talking about eating habits, right? Maybe you want to help your employees with that as well, like having a nutrition coach in the company. Maybe creating some workout spaces. Some people like yoga, some people might like I don't know, table tennis, something to engage together with, and having some fun. And also, you could provide coaches and counselors. So, as we have been talking about painful isolation, some people might make use of a counselor if it's really a little bit deeper. And some people might benefit from a coach, like really, okay, so now I'm having time, I want to go somewhere, I want to do something, but I don't know where to start. So a coach can wonderfully help with this, and foster that sense of belonging that we have been talking about before, foster that in your corporation, and listen to the people, listen to what they want, acknowledge their situation, celebrate when they are going together and having like some team connections, and maybe have some surveys as well around like, what do you want? Like, ask your people what they want, install programs, but maybe even ask them, that might be way better, because one of the things that employees want to have, they want to be listened to. And way too often leaders and organization might not listen enough to their employees, and now is also the time for this, I think. Oh, I don't hear you anymore.
Sorry, thank
Yeah.
you. I think that it's about speaking the elephant that is in the room. I mean, if you see few people coming at the office and you are already few, and you already have heard about that client, that colleague going on holiday, that colleague reaching the family, and then maybe you go home, you know, it's just enough to name it, you know, to name it in the office with the people that are still there. You know, oh, we have left few. You know, how does it feel? What does that mean? Maybe taking the chance to get, you know, to get to know a colleague you never had a coffee with. You didn't even notice him because there were so many other desks in between you and him, or you and them. And, you know, also explore cross departmental, you know, go even there, try to create new liaison, new relationships, new learning, because anyhow another person is bringing new learning, right? Who knows, maybe you will find your twin soul.
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. Talk to someone you've never spoken before in the company. That's a really, really great idea.
Exactly. So would you like to add something, Mandy, that you think we still need to touch upon?
Well, I think we have been touching on so many things. Certainly, this topic is huge, right? And I hope that people were finding all of the examples that we were bringing, the strategies that we were suggesting, that everyone finds a little bit on where to start. I think it's really the main important thing, which I want to emphasize again, is like, if you feel painful in isolation, like, try really everything to get out of this, by allowing yourself to feel it, and then find something really, really healthy, peaceful for you, and find support, find someone else in the company, find someone in HR, find yourself a coach or a counselor or a mentor, or a new friend. I think
Yeah.
connection is really the main thing.
If you feel really inspired and you want to take your first action right now, you can also connect to Mandy. This is a Mandy page on our website. So feel free to connect with her. You could see her LinkedIn page there. You can book a 30 minutes alignment conversation with her directly. And it's good to explore and to even build up and share your perspective on this topic. Is there enriching Mandy initially? It's enriching us as an organization, always receiving feedback so we can improve, and always provide you with most valuable insight. And enjoy isolation then. And then
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh, I will.
Me too, for sure. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank you
been
so
great
much.
together. Have an amazing night, and good morning, afternoon, or night to everyone.
Wherever
Bye.
you are in the world. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks, Elena.
Bye. Thank you.